inside Gout. Gout's in front. He's coming away now from Murphy. Can he be as quick as this morning?
Gout Gout crosses the finish line at the Australian Championships, and you can feel the whole stadium realize something big just happened. That run was a flat 19.67 seconds in the 200 meters, a time that made him the fastest under-20 sprinter in recorded history. To put that in perspective, Usain Bolt did not run that fast until he was almost 22 years old. Gout did it as an 18-year-old still finishing high school. Gout was born in Ipswich, Queensland, to parents who had moved to Australia from South Sudan. He was not even a serious track athlete until a school carnival caught the attention of local coaches when he was 12. Within a few years, he was breaking national age group records, and by the time he turned professional in late 2024, Adidas had already signed him to an 8-year deal. But the number by itself does not tell the full story. Gout's 19.67 beat the old world under-20 record of 19.69, set by American sprinter Erriyon Knighton back in 2022. Knighton actually ran even faster once, a 19.49, but that time was never officially recognized because of missed drug testing requirements. So as far as the record books are concerned, Gout Gout owns this event outright, and at just 18, he looked like he was only getting started. His 2026 season had already been building toward that moment. In February, he ran a flat 10.00 in the 100 meters, an Australian under-20 record. That is not just a fast time for a teenager. It puts him in a conversation most sprinters never get close to at any age. Then came the tricky part of the season. In June, Gout made his senior Diamond League debut in Oslo, lining up against Olympic 200-meter champion Letsile Tebogo for the first time as a professional. He finished 6th. For a sprinter who had just broken a world record 2 months earlier, a 6th-place finish against the pros looked to some fans like a step backward, like the hype might be slowing down. Gout answered that doubt less than a week later. At the Golden Spike meeting in Ostrava, he ran a national record over 150 meters, finishing right behind a world record run from Noah Lyles himself. It was proof that Oslo was a blip, not a trend. Everything was still lining up for one final showdown in Eugene at the World U20 Championships in August. That is where things get complicated, because of a run that happened on the exact same track where Eugene's championships will take place. On July 4th, at the Prefontaine Classic, an 18-year-old high school senior named Tate Taylor lined up in the 200 meters. His opponent was that very same Letsile Tebogo that Gout had just raced in Oslo. Taylor was not entered as a favorite. He was a kid from San Antonio, Texas, about to share a track with an Olympic gold medalist. He ran 19.75 seconds into a headwind and beat Tebogo outright. Tebogo crossed the line second in 19.93, with Zimbabwe's Makanakaishe Charamba third. Taylor was not just outrunning kids his own age, he was outrunning a stacked professional field on one of the sport's biggest stages, into wind conditions that normally punish sprinters, not help them. Let's break this down number by number, because the closer you look, the crazier this comparison gets. Start with the 200 meters, the headline event. Gout's 19.67 is still the faster time, by 0.08 of a second over Taylor's 19.75. But Taylor's run is now the third fastest time ever recorded by an under-20 sprinter, trailing only Gout's ratified record and Knighton's unratified 19.49. Two sprinters, two continents, separated by less than 0.1 of a second at the top of history. Now flip to the 100 meters, and the advantage flips too. Taylor's win legal best sits at 9.92 seconds, set back in 2025. Gout's official best is 10.00 flat. That is Taylor by 0.08, the exact same margin Gout holds over him in the 200. Neither one of these guys is just a one-event runner either. Gout's personal best in the 400 meters is 46.14, run last October, showing off a level of raw speed endurance most pure sprinters never bother training for. Taylor's own range shows up over 300 meters, where his indoor best of 32.45 stands as the fastest that distance has ever been run by an American high schooler. Then there is the 150, a distance that does not get run very often, but tells you a lot about a sprinter's top-end speed. At the Golden Spike meeting in Ostrava in June, Gout ran 14.96 seconds over 150 meters. Noah Lyles won that race with an actual world record, and Gout's time missed that new record by just 0.04 of a second. That is how close the most hyped teenager in the sport was to touching a senior world record at any distance against the best sprinter on the planet. The way these two athletes reached the top also could not look more different. Gout got there in one jump. He ran 19.84 to win his national title in 2025, then came back in April of 2026 and dropped it all the way down to 19.67 in a single race. Taylor climbed there step by step: 20.05 in April, 19.97 in June, 19.94 at the USATF 20 Championships, where he also won the 100 meters to lock in his spot on Team USA. Then 19.75 at Prefontaine. One sprinter exploded into the record books overnight. The other ground his way there, race by race, all season long. Stop and think about how rare this actually is. We are not just watching one great teenage sprinter have a big year. We are watching two of them at the same time, on opposite sides of the world, both running times that would have been considered world-class for grown professionals a decade ago. Bolt did not reach this level until he was well into his 20s. Knighton's fastest run never even counted. Plenty of other young sprinters have had strong years in 2026, but nobody else in the sport right now is within striking distance of what Gout and Taylor have both done over the 200 meters. By early July, junior sprinting had two 18-year-olds on two different continents, both sitting inside the top three under 2,200 meter times ever recorded. The World U20 Championships in Eugene were about to settle, once and for all, which one of them was really the best. Then on July 9th, that entire storyline changed. Gout posted the news himself. During a training session in Brisbane, he felt something go wrong in his hamstring. The next morning, an MRI confirmed the worst outcome possible. Doctors found a partial tear in his hamstring tendon, serious enough to end his season completely. In his own words, he said he was very disappointed but had no choice except to accept it, and that his focus now shifts to rehab, with the goal of coming back stronger in 2027. That means the matchup everybody wanted, the one between the two fastest teenagers alive, is not going to happen in Eugene. Gout will not race at the World U20 Championships this year. Australian Athletics released a statement supporting him through his recovery, but for fans who had circled August 5th through 9th on their calendars for months, the news landed hard. So where does that leave things? Tate Taylor now walks into Eugene as the outright favorite in the 200 meters, on the exact track where he just beat an Olympic champion. He still has competition to worry about. Britain's Jake Jordan, who trains alongside Taylor, already holds the European under 2,100 meters record and will be chasing his own medal in Eugene. But the one man who could match Taylor stride for stride will be watching from home instead of the starting blocks. Think about how fast this whole picture flipped. At the start of the year, most casual fans outside the United States had never even heard the name Tate Taylor. Now he holds 3 separate national high school records. He has beaten an Olympic champion on live television, and he walks into a world championship as the favorite. Gout Gout spent almost 2 years as the undisputed face of junior sprinting. In the span of one summer, most of that spotlight has shifted onto an 18-year-old from Texas. Gout Gout's story is far from over. He still owns the world under 2,200 meters record, a mark nobody else on the planet has come close to touching. He is still just 18,